All right, so let's get going. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming in today and joining us for our webinar. We're talking all about social media networking. And, you know, really, when we think about networking, the purpose of networking, from my perspective, it's always about gaining visibility, making new connections. And ultimately, we all want to get clients, so there's that component to it as well. But we can also get referral partners, we can get resources, hook up for different things we might be needing. Networking is such a powerful, workhorse for our businesses. And so with today's marketplace, we're somewhat challenged because of the, scope of being able to network in person. So that's why Sumner invited me today, and I thank the Langley Chamber for doing so, to talk to you about how to network on social media. And ultimately, I like to say how to convert our conversations into prospects, leads, and clients, because ultimately that's really what we're trying to do. We're all out here to grow our businesses. And so that's what we'll be diving in today. Once again, I'm Sue Clement. I'm the founder of Think and Grow Like a Seven-Figure CEO. And I'm all about business acceleration, helping business owners accelerate their path to success, accelerate their revenues, and have profitable, thriving businesses, because business shouldn't be a hobby. It really should be a workhorse for you and create the lifestyle and business financial growth that you want. So when we think about networking, this is the old school, right? That's the way we used to network, in person, rubbing shoulders, pressing palms, eye to eye, face to face, knee to knee. And in today's world, we can't necessarily do that as easily as we have in the past. And so really, I want to ask you a couple questions though. So what if you could network without ever going to another event? Now, we have the chat going here, so type in hell yes if you'd like to network without going to another event. What if you could not have to dress up or show up? Now that would be kind of cool. What happens if you could network anytime you wanted to? So it would fit your schedule, day or night. You wouldn't have to go to a specific event. You don't have to be there at the 7 a.m. What happens if you could get more targeted connections and ultimately network with just exactly who you'd want to? How many of you would love that? Type in the chat hell yes, or raise your hands and wave at me. Wouldn't those be a great way to be able to network a little bit easier without some of the restrictions that the in-person gives us? So I just want to highlight the possibility for you when you think about how we network today is on social media. And it's a perfect way to build the connections. Everything we could do in person, we can do that and even more through social media networking. Now today, as I'm talking about social media networking, I'm going to be mentioning primarily, I'll just say Facebook, but you can fill in whatever social media channel works for you, whether you prefer to use LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter, or God knows the dozens of other ones available to you. But basically the concepts I'll be sharing work perfectly for LinkedIn and Facebook, but I'll probably just land up saying Facebook because it's easier than kind of rolling through both options. And so when we network, when we think about it, is that this is ultimately what I'm hoping for you, is if you could network and consistently get more clients. Isn't that really what we want? And it's funny, I've done lots and lots of talking about networking and training on networking. I used to do my own workshops and seminars, and I've guest spoken hundreds of places about networking. Actually, even including Denmark. I got invited to a conference in Denmark to speak about networking. And one of the things, it's always about, we want more clients, but we can't sell when we network. And if we do sell, then we're kind of not networking. So it is about building connections. And I really believe that we can network our way to getting more clients. And I'm going to share with you some cool strategies today that will help you do that, perhaps differently than you thought. You'll see Facebook and LinkedIn, all your social media channels, in a different way with new opportunities and perspectives for you. So I just want to ask you for a moment, think. What is the value of one client? If you were to get one client today, what would be the value be? Now, you don't have to type that into the chat, right? But just think to yourself, maybe jot it down on a piece of paper. Is it $500? Is it $1,000, $10,000? What's the value of one client? Now, how about if I asked you this question? If you could get one client this week, and I know it's Wednesday already, but if you could get one client this week, would that be a good thing? And you can type in the chat. I can't see the chat here, so I'm assuming that you guys are working here. I'm going to make you work, okay? You showed up, so let's get you working as well. And so here's the thing, is that when we think about our networking, we can network our way to clients. And really, I want you to imagine if you could get a client from networking almost every day or every week, would that make social media marketing that much easier for you or better for you? You know, a lot of people complain about Facebook or LinkedIn, how social media channels are such a time suck. You know, we get on and we start scrolling through social media channels and through our timeline, and we consume so much time and energy. And my perspective is, don't look at your timeline from that perspective. Look at it from how you can make those connections that will actually yield you business, referral partners, and joint venture opportunities. And here's an example of someone who's done that. This is Michelle Schaefer. Michelle actually, in 1 hour, made 20 connections through social media, new connections, people she did not know before. She got booked as a podcast host once from doing that. She scheduled 3 sales appointments, but ultimately she actually got 1 client in that 1 hour. Sounds pretty exciting? Who's in for that? Say yes or wave your hand so I can see you. Yeah, we all want that opportunity, and we can. So let's go through, and I'm going to share with you my process on how to make this work for you. And not about being a sleazy salesperson either. This isn't about selling. It's truly about making the connections. So the other thing, before we get into this, I want to pause for a moment and say, when I reference making some of the posts and making the connections, it's really about using your Facebook profile for business. Now, I know some of you go, oh, wait a minute. Facebook says you can't do business on your profile. You need to do business on your page. And yes, your business page on Facebook is one thing, but your profile is where we tend to have our friends and our families, and we show pictures of cats and dogs and sunsets and all those cool things, which I do too. But ultimately, from my point of view and my perspective, is business is part of my life. So Facebook, I'm sharing my life on Facebook. And so that does include pictures of Tegan, who's actually sleeping on the couch behind me there. But it also allows me to talk about business things that I'm doing. It talks about issues that I think of. I post some Facebook, some blog articles. I post all sorts of things about growing your business, because that's really a huge chunk of what I do and what I'm all about. And so when I reference some of these connections, they are on your profile, not on your page. Not that Facebook pages are dead or anything, but you don't get the same level of engagement there, and you can't really find friends on your page, but you can find them on your profile. So I just want to make that distinction as we go forward with this. And once again, when I say Facebook, of course, I mean LinkedIn as well. So let's move in and start talking about how we make those connections. And they're powerful. When we think about the mass size of Facebook, and if you are perhaps a speaker or a trainer or an expertpreneur of some sort, and your clients are global, it's a powerful workhorse for you to be able to reach out globally and reach people that you'd never meet, ever meet in a live face-to-face networking event. So if we want to talk about making new targeted connections, we do look out there and we see, hundreds of thousands of people potentially we could connect with. If you are a B2B service, and you're not in person, you don't have to meet with your clients in person, it's an unlimited amount actually. And if you are local, well, there's still pretty much an unlimited amount of marketplace for us to get into. And so here's the thing though, I want you to start thinking about targeted connections, not just any connection. And so that's the power of this networking through social media channels, is that we can actually not necessarily connect with the whole world or all of your city or all of your town. It's really about, as usual, all of business always starts with your ideal target client, all right? I can't seem to talk about anything without bringing those people into the mix. And why I say that is because ultimately, knowing who your ideal target client is will either propel you to your success, or if you don't know, it will limit your success. And this is one of the things when I start working with my clients, we always kind of start with who it is that they're trying to attract, who it is they want to market to, who do they want to get visibility in front of. And so your ideal target client is just as relevant, actually even more so, on your social media, because you don't want to waste time connecting with people who really aren't going to be potential prospects for you, or people that aren't going to be potential referral partners or joint venture partners, or have resources that you can tap into. So it is a very strategic perspective on how to connect or how to network on social media. You don't want to just random nilly-willy get out there and meet people. You truly want to make it more targeted. And if you remember my first questions, I talked about, wouldn't it be great if you went to networking and you were to network with exactly who you want to? Well, this is where this comes into play. You absolutely can network with exactly who you want to if you invest in targeting them. And of course, you need to know who it is you're trying to reach. Who do you want to get in front of before you even start? So if you haven't done this work, roll up your sleeves, get clear about who it is, who's your ideal target client, who's your ideal referral partner, who do you want to connect with, who do you want to network with. That's a key part to getting started with this. So when we make those targeted connections, and once again, it's always about being very targeted, there's a couple ways we can go about it. Now, the simplest thing is, of course, to accept new friend requests. We all have those friend requests, right? And they come to us, but you don't just fly swat them one after another saying, yes, 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 yes. And nor are you just looking for those kind of creepy weirdos that are stalking you because they want to date you from overseas somewhere. I get a lot of those. Those ones are decline, decline, decline. But actually, when we accept a new friend request, this is what I'm proposing that you do, is you do a little bit of sleuthing first. And so the first thing when someone sends me a friend request is I click on their profile. Now, this is a personal beef of mine. People who have profiles, but there's nothing on it. They don't say where they work. If you don't have your profile connected to your page, write that down right now, because you absolutely want to make sure that your profile is connected to your page. So if I go to your About button and I see nothing there other than you love dogs, are single, and live in Timbuktu, I don't know whether you are actually going to be someone I want to network with, because I want to network with business people. I don't know if you are or aren't. So if you don't have your profiles connected, do so right away. And on your profile, I mean, we could do a whole little module about that, but I'm not going to get too far down that path. But on your profile, you should talk about business. You should say where you work. You know, you have that great little description, that, you know, introduction box where you can write a little sentence. Don't say that you love drinking wine and playing with your puppy. Talk about what you do. What do you deliver for your clients? How do you help them? Have a statement like that so that other business people can resonate and connect with you. So once again, new friend requests, we can always look at those, but click their profile, look at that, click their page. If it's connected, look at their page. You might even go to their website, and ultimately then you'll make a decision. Are they someone that you want to connect with? Are they someone that's going to be someone you want to have as your friend? And only then would you accept their friend request. So that's an easy step of doing that. And of course, the next step is to send out friend requests. All right. And once again, whether you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, it's the same difference. People either message you and they want to connect with you on LinkedIn, or you can send out connection requests or friend requests if you're Facebook. So if I'm going to send out friend requests, it's kind of a big wild world. How do I know who I want to connect with? There's lots of different places I could go to. There's lots of different people I could connect with. But here's the thing, just as we're assessing who wants to be our friend, we need to assess who we want to have as our friend. And so this is where we actually begin to search. We want to have a little sleuthing in place. We're looking for that market match. We want to make sure that who we ask to be our friend is someone that we really want to friend with. And now I just need to pause here, because this is where I sometimes get objections. On Facebook, I don't know if you guys know this, but there you can actually on Facebook set it up different groups or profiles. So your best friends and your cousins and your nieces and your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters and those people you can have on a separate list. And then you can make various lists for other types of people. And it's a really solid marketing strategy. You might have a list for referral partners. You might have a list for maybe if you do blogs or podcasts and you want to be a guest or have people on your podcast or guest. So you can actually make different lists for different things. You might have a list for hot prospects. Okay, so really if you use, I mean, Facebook honestly is such a phenomenal workhorse of a tool that we can use if we use it well. It can be an incredible marketing asset for us. So we're looking for the market match when we begin to search out for someone. So who are they? What I do is I begin to do a bit of sleuthing. So here we go, and let me just share with you where you can sleuth. Check out groups. We all belong to lots of Facebook groups, and there are hundreds of Facebook groups on specific targets. So if you are spiritual or holistic, you want to look at spiritual or, gosh, I can't say that. No wonder I don't do that for a career. Holistic groups, all right? If you're a business, you want to look for business groups. If you work with mompreneurs, you want to look for mompreneur groups, all right? If you are a dog trainer, you might want to look for dog groups, right? There's a group on everything on Facebook. It's almost like meetups. There's a meetup for everything. Well, there's a Facebook group for everything. And so what I do is I join groups. Now, of course, you have to be with groups. A little caveat here is you want to make sure that you're respectful of the group, because the group owner owns the group, right? It's their little playground, and you need to play appropriately in their playground. Now, some are more community groups, and a community group, they often invite you to post things, to share comments, and it's more like a community environment. And then there's other groups that are more arbitrarily in the sense that the owner of the group is the only one who makes posts, and they don't allow self-promotion or things like, you know, promotion or sharing of too much of your content. So be respectful. But when you check out the group, if the group is a community group, this is a great place for you to begin to look for prospects of who you want to network with, who you want to connect with. And one way we can do that, of course, is to see who's posting and what are they posting. And when we go to a group, we can actually then invite people to be our friend. And when we invite people to be our friend, it's not like we're being a creepy stalker, but all we do is send them a message saying, hey, we're both in the XYZ group, thought we should connect, and then send a friend request. And so when we do that, it's a great hunting ground for us to be able to find other like people, you know, like-minded people that we want to connect with. Another fabulous place is events. So for example, for this particular event, this webinar, I set up an event. And if you saw that and you were in my event, or you went to my event page, you can see who else signed up for the event. And if you're into social media marketing, you might go, hey, these people are into social media marketing. I should friend these people, or at least I should check them out to see if I want to friend these people, because I could connect with them because we have something in common. So going to different events are great, or if there's like an online conference, and right now there's so many online things, so there's lots of online events, but go to different event pages and you can find lots of people that have that same common interest that would be really valuable for you to connect with. So I hope that you're beginning to see some interesting ways of how you can actually strategically approach your connections on Facebook that will bring you closer to the ideal clients or the ideal prospects or the ideal referral partners that you want to connect with. So that's a huge thing to do, is look for different groups. Another great place is to look for different likes and comments on your post, but even on other people's posts, you know, back in the groups or just in your friends and connections. When you see someone make a comment and you like that comment, it might signal you to look at their profile, look at their page, and if you think that they align with you, they fit the targeting that you're looking for, then request to be your friend and say, hey, I liked your comment on this. And that's another place that you can actually find. So you can, instead of just friending anybody and trying to connect and network with anybody, we have the opportunity to really specifically, narrowly target it down and focus on who you want to connect with. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm just going to invite you guys to, I should have said this sooner, but of course I'm going to take questions at the end. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. And also, if you have any comments right now, just put them in. I'm just going to have a little sip of water and give you a second to catch your breath as I'm catching mine. For some reason, I can't seem to access the chat. So, well, it's just not showing up on my panel. Okay. All right. So Once again, targeted connections, lots of places to find them. I hope you're being inspired. If you are, wave at me so I kind of feel like you guys are all on track with me. Okay, good stuff. So once we search for them, we need to assess and qualify, which I've kind of outlined already. Check them out. Are they someone that you really want to connect with? And then we want to connect with them. And when we connect with people, we want to always make sure you send a message. Never send a friend request without also sending a message. And that's really key. Now, ultimately, if you message someone before they're your friend, you may or may not, they may or may not see it until they accept your friend request. But once they do, then you'll have them, they'll know that you've sent a friend request and you'll start the conversation. Because once again, remember, networking is all about the conversations that you connect with. So you always want to send that message. Don't just fly swat a whole bunch of people. Send them a message. And now the message that I often send is something like, hey, we're both in the same group, thought we should connect. Or, hey, I see we've got lots of people, friends in common, thought we should connect. Or even like Facebook, once you start connecting with a lot of people, Facebook will actually begin to make suggestions. And so if you're connecting a lot, your name will come up on a lot of people's suggestions. So you might even make a comment as, hey, Facebook suggested we should be friends. So I thought I would reach out, let's connect. So you always want to send that message. And same thing, if you're accepting a friend request, always thank them. I usually just, I always accept if I'm accepting them, I'll accept the button, I press the button accept, and then I'll message them and say, hey, thanks for, requesting to be my friend. I love connecting with my new Facebook friends. And then I'll ask them a question that starts the conversation going. So that's what we always want to do, is begin to have that conversation, have that dialogue. It's no different than when we walk into a networking event. We're going to get into exactly what to say in a few minutes, but I also want to share with you another really cool strategy on how to find and connect with people that are more in alignment with what you're doing. And I call this the post-engagement strategy, and it's kind of cool. And so this is where you create posts that are singularly designed to get people to connect with you. And this could be people who already are your friends, but this is an opportunity for you to kind of think past the connection and think more towards the business. And so here's an example. These are some of the ones I've done and some of my clients have done. It's, what's your number one most important goal this month? Now, when I put that out there, people will comment on it. And when they comment on it, then I can, of course, on Facebook, I'll, thank them for their comment, but then I'll also messenger them. I'll check out their profile, look at their page. If it's somebody I think I want to connect with deeper, then I'll message them, reference, hey, thanks for commenting on my post. I might comment on something that they mentioned, and then take it one step further into developing that friendship. So there's an example there. Here's another one. One of my colleagues, she does speaking from the stage, and she teaches speaking from the stage. So she used this one. When you're on stage, sneakers or heels. She had like 150 different people comment on it. And when you have that many people commenting, now a lot of them already, some of them aren't going to be prospects, some of them aren't really going to be a fit that you want to continue on with. But if you check and click on every one of them, she found clients just from doing that post. Here's another good one. This is someone who's a sales coach on sales calls, video on or audio. And they had like about 100 different people comment on that. And that gave them, once again, specific people to go back and to connect with. Now, these people might already be their friends. They already have the connection, but it started a new dialogue. It started a new networking conversation that was relevant to the business. Another one, this is one I just used a short time ago. Who am I connected to here that's a coach, consultant, or expertpreneur? I had, 150 different people comment on that. Kathy, I think you might have been one of them. Yeah, and maybe there's a few others in here. And that gave me some ideas about, okay, who in my community is a coach, a consultant, or expertpreneur? I have a specific offer that's perfect for them. Let's have a dialogue going. So I hope you can kind of begin to see some of these ideas for yourself. So think of your own business. Now here's another one, next home, house or condo, right? And so you want to make the question really simple. People will answer that. And if you're a mortgage broker or real estate agent, there you go. You've got some cool ideas that you can reach out to and talk to them, house or condo. Thanks for commenting on my post. I see that you want a condo. Are you living in one now? And then leave it like this. Just ask that question and then they'll respond. It's no different than if you're a networking event. If you're standing in front of someone at a networking event and you say, you know, where would you prefer to live, a house or a condo? They're going to answer one or the other and you go, wow, is that where you're living now? And that opens the door to have a conversation with them potentially about maybe they're moving next month or maybe next fall. But nonetheless, it gives you an idea to find some prospects. Here's another one that I just use actually. If you could sit down and talk with me over a cup of coffee or a favorite beverage about anything to grow a 7-figure business, what would you like to know? And I had several people ask me questions or make comments. Now that opened the door perfect for me to have a dialogue with them about their business. So I hope that you can see that these are just meant to engage people and get them talking about something that's relevant and important to you and your business. So that's the post-engagement strategy. And that's what actually Craig did. And he actually filled his coaching program just through social media outreach using these post-engagement strategies. It's amazing when we ask the right questions, the right people will come in. It's like we're drawing them in, they raise their hand, and then we just carry on the conversation. It's no different than if you went to a networking event and you walk in the room, you start having a conversation with people, you want to converse with the people who are interested in things that you might have to offer to sell. Not that we're selling at that point, but we're gathering. Think of it that way. We're making connections with people that are interested in what we have without really offering or trying to pitch what we have. That's the distinction I want to share with you here. All right, so let's move on. Now that we've made those connections, so just to summarize, we connect with people who asked to be our friend or asked to connect with us on LinkedIn, and or the people we've gone out and asked to be our friend, and we find them in groups, at events, on likes and comments on our posts and other people's posts. Or we kind of baited them. It sounds really nasty, but we bait them by having some engagement posts that help them step up and show that they're interested. So once we've got the connection, now we need to do something with it. And that's where we get into the engage. How do we engage with these people? So first of all, and most of all, we want to converse the same way we would in person. That's a really important thing to think about it. And a lot of people go, I don't know what to type. I don't know what to say. And yes, it is awkward when we're sending messages or messengers. You know, we're so used to just saying these things in a conversation that when we have to think about them and type them, sometimes it kind of feels awkward. But just keep in mind that meaningful conversations will make meaningful connections. And we really want to have meaningful connections because ultimately we're trying to see if this person could be a lead, a prospect, ultimately a client. Could they be a referral partner? Could I help them in some way? Could they help me in some way? All of those things we want to assess. And so we can do that by having a conversation. And just like in-person networking, we don't want to make it all about us. It's not really our chance to, talk. We want to have that back and forth conversations. We want people to, tell us about themselves so that we kind of grow our knowledge on them. And as we're doing so, we're having the opportunity to really assess, is this a good, solid connection? Is this a connection that I could take further in some way? And I have to put this quote up because I love this Mary Kay quote, make me feel important. Yeah, and pretend everyone has an invisible sign hanging around their neck or maybe hanging off their computer screen that says, make me feel important, because that's what connections are all about. So when I connect with someone and I message them back, I don't ask silly questions like, tell me about your business. Well, if I'd looked at their profile or their page, I'd know what their business is. That's kind of almost insulting. I'm expecting them to do that work for me. But instead, I might ask them something more personal about them. What's working for you in your business? What's some of your goals this year? I mean, those are typical networking events. If you're standing in front of someone, you'd ask them that. How's the new economy? How's the virus? How's the pandemic affecting your business? Those would be real conversations. So when we want to connect with them on Facebook, we ask those types of questions. And it is a dialogue. You send a message and then they'll message you back. Now, here's the thing I also want to mention here is that often there's a delay because not everyone's like in person, they're standing right in front of you. You know, you get their full attention. Well, on Facebook or LinkedIn, social media platforms, you won't have their full connection. So it is kind of a random conversation where you might send a message out and then have to wait a day before they respond. And when they respond, then you respond back. So it is kind of an interesting volley. It's not rapid fire like ping pong. It is kind of back and forth. Sometimes they're on at the same time and you can have a really fast dialogue and be like Michelle, where she actually got a client in 1 hour because the dialogue went really quick. They hopped on the phone and the person was ready to buy, but she found someone in the heat of the moment that was rate perfect for her. That doesn't always happen, but when it does, it feels great. So be prepared for kind of a slow volley or sometimes a fast volley back and forth. But one of the most important things, and this is, I see a lot of posts on this where people are quite upset about people who sell on Messenger, right? They sell by messages. And it's not that that's a bad thing to do, but it's bad the way they're doing it. So I'm teaching you a way that's really more constructive and more relationship oriented, rather than if I send you a friend request and you accept it and the next message I send out is this vomit pitch, you know, where I say, oh, well, I've got this blank and you should sign up and it's this much money and come, you know, buy it now. And I think we've all had those Facebook messengers, you know, when they've pitched us directly. Well, we don't want anyone to ever feel like they have a target on their chest. All right. So do not do that. All right. We want to connect with people. This is networking. And yes, it will get you clients. And I'll share with you how exactly to make that happen. But it doesn't happen by pitching. And I love this because you absolutely do not want to be a weirdy salesy weirdo. Okay, because you are going to be a salesy weirdo if you message someone and you're vomiting a sales pitch all over them. All right, you don't want to do that. And that's really a key important thing. So when you see people on Facebook, you know, slamming people who try and make offers on Facebook and how bad that is, it's not that that's bad. It's the way that they're doing it's bad. And so don't pitch. Remember the salesy weirdo the next time you're messaging someone that you're not going to actually go that way. Now, I did promise you, though, that you can get clients through social media marketing or networking, as we call it. And yes, it is possible. And this is how we do it, is we actually take the conversation in a different direction. So let me kind of give you a little bit of a volley of an idea. So we send them, hey, we're both in the same group, thought we should connect. The person connects. I send them a second message saying, hey, thanks for connecting. And then I'll ask them a question. What's working for you well in biz these days? That's kind of one of my favorite questions. And they message me back saying, oh, I'm doing this or that or whatever. And then from what they've said, I message them back again. So it's a little bit of a volley back and forth. So I get to know them. I'm trying to assess them. I'm trying to understand, are they really someone that I want to connect with? Are they going to be a prospect? Are they going to be a referral partner? You know, could I book them on one of my podcasts? Could I get booked on one of their podcasts? So that's the back and forth. I want to kind of assess who they are. So you notice it is a volley. It's no different than if you're at a networking event, you're going to have a bit of a conversation with somebody. And then at the end of the conversation, what do we usually do? If we feel that there's an opportunity for us to take it further, we'll take it further offline. So like off the event, we'll say, well, gosh, you know, let me follow up with you next week. Or you might just scoop their card. And then the next week you would pick up the phone or send them an email or a text and say, hey, we met last week at the blank event, and then carry on from there. Well, that's what we're actually trying to do here. We want to invite people to take the next step. And that's a really key piece of it. Think of it truly as an invitation. We want to invite them. And when we invite people to kind of continue the conversation with us, one of the important things to do is, you know, is to be respectful of that. So some different things you could invite them to. So you don't have to necessarily invite them to buy from you right off the bat, but you might invite them to a group. Who here has a Facebook group? Type in the chat if you've got a Facebook group. Yeah, or wave your hands. I can see those. So you might invite them to a Facebook group. That would be it. Or maybe you have a lead magnet. A lead magnet is something of value. It could be a template, an ebook, a checklist, a quizzy, something of value. You might say, hey, thought I would share with you, this tool that, a lot of my clients find valuable, particularly, once again, if you had that conversation around that topic. Or you might invite them to a webinar that you're doing, or a free training that you've got, or hey, here's an article or a blog article I just recently wrote. I thought it was on topic of what we've been talking about, and you share that with them. So you can also kind of get that dialogue going and begin to invite them to do things. And all of those are exactly what I would do offline. That's exactly what I would do after a networking event. Thank you. Hey, it was great meeting you. Love talking about blank, blank, blank. P.S. Here's an article, or here's a blog I just wrote. I thought you might like it. Or hey, P.S. I don't know if you know this or if you're interested, but I've got a Facebook group. You're welcome to come check it out. Whatever, but we'd always want to carry the conversation on. So that's the thing, is if you are a true solid networker, you're always trying to think about how you can develop the conversation, how you can develop the relationship. And we're trying to do the same thing through social media. So we invite them to something else. That's one way. And then ultimately, if we do want to make an offer, we always want to seek permission. We always want to be able to stretch out and really get their permission to do so. So what I often do is, after I've had a little volley back and forth and I've made their friend and we've had that conversation, then if I think that I have something interesting that might be suitable for them, I'm going to throw out a question to see if it is. So I might send a post saying, hey, I've got a cool program starting, or I've got a cool opportunity. Can I run it by you here? So it's kind of vague. It inspires curiosity. I'll be honest, it does that. And I'm asking permission. Notice I don't say, hey, I'm starting a new group next week and it's all about this, this, and this, and this, and this. Do you want to buy? That's a salesy weirdo. But instead, I ask permission. Hey, I've got something of interest, or another one I might send a post out saying, hey, I was thinking about you and I have something I think might be helpful. Do you want to find out more? So I'm always asking that permission. Now, once I send that message out, frequently what happens is someone will message me back saying, well, give me the details. And before I give them the details, I might send another qualifying message out that says something along the lines, well, before I do, I want to make sure, I don't want to waste your time. I want to make sure it's a fit for you. And then I'll ask them a question that would qualify them to see if they are a prospect for what my offer is. So I'd ask them another question and they'd respond. But you can see how I kind of have this conversation going. I don't just pitch. I don't just make a random offer to anybody. I'm actually qualifying them. Are they a suitable buyer? Are they someone that would be a good fit for me? And so if that's the case, then at that point, now it depends what you're selling. If you're selling a lower priced item, you might have here's my website, click and, if it's a click and buy type of product, as I call them, if you have a click and buy type of service, you might say, cool, here's my website, and give them the link and then leave it to their device. Now, if you're selling a higher price product or service, you don't want to do that. Of course, usually you want to have a sales conversation. And I always said this when I had my employment agency, in the old days, which I started from a startup and sold it, grew to a $5 million company before selling it. I used to always tell my sales team this, is that paper doesn't sell as well as you, all right? And when I say paper, I'm talking about email or letters or texting. None of those modes sell as well as you do. So from my point of view is I'd like to get on the phone with a person. So after I've done this pre-qualifying back and forth, that's when I'll step up and say, hey, well, I'd rather, talk than type. Do you have time to hop on a call with me? And so then I'll set up a time, we'll go back and forth and we'll set up a time. And then that way we can get on the call. Or another way you might choose to do is saying, hey, if you want to do email, you might get them onto email. Like, hey, well, it's easier for me to email. So, what's your email address? But I like hopping on the phone call with somebody because when I'm on the phone conversation, that gives me the opportunity to actually have a potential sales conversation with them and be able to take it that step further. So I'm always trying to get it off of Facebook or LinkedIn and onto the phone so I can have a real conversation. But I don't just make that offer randomly. I've done some qualifying so that by the time they get on the phone with me, I know that they're a better fit and I'm not wasting my time. That sounds terrible when I say wasting my time, but also wasting their time. And one of the things you can do is you can actually send some pre-qualifying data out. This is one of the techniques that I think really works well if you're, particularly if you're a service professional, is for you to send out, you know, it might be, I call it the pre-indoctrination, hard to say that, but basically you might send them some content about you. You might send them a quizzy or checklist that will help prep them for the conversation with you to see if they're really a qualified fit. So by the time they get on the phone with you, they're almost pre-sold. And then that time on your phone call is really relevant to them in the sense of how can you help them? Is there an issue? And then is what you're selling actually going to solve the problem for them? And if it is, then you now have a sales conversation. So you can see how really comfortably we move someone from being just a connection on Facebook to having a dialogue with them, connecting with them, assessing and sorting whether they're a good fit for us, and then actually taking that next step further so we can actually have a sales conversation with them. So networking will bring you clients, but you need to bring it through that process so that you do have the opportunity to kind of stretch through on things. So I'm just going to pause here and see if there's any questions. Sumner, are you around still?
Yeah, I am.
Are there any, I can't see, I don't know why, but I can't seem to see the chat. Maybe because I've got my presenter notes up or something, but I'm not seeing the chat. Are we chatting?
Yeah, people are chatting. There's no questions. It's just because you're sharing your screen right now, you can't see it.
Yeah, okay, maybe I should come off screen share. I could do that too. I've been so excited to talk about these things. So let me just stop the share for a moment. We've got a few more things to get through yet, but I'm just going to stop the share right now. Hey, you can see me. There you go. Living color. Hello. So I just want to pause here because it's a depth of information that I've shared from concept all the way through to having a conversation, potentially making an offer. Are there any questions? So Ilya says, I have a pro LinkedIn account. It's useful if you're making connections. Yeah, absolutely. And Sales Navigator is a fabulous tool if you want to do more sorting and selection. That's what I use myself. You can consider to get one. LinkedIn tells you, yeah, free accounts don't allow it all, but I like Sales Navigator. Thanks, Ilya. Anybody else have any questions about this? I'm just kind of catching up on the chat here. I knew there was something I was missing. Cool. So we have some dialogues about using LinkedIn as well as Facebook. They both work really, really well to do this. Okay, so let's go back to the screen share then. And whoops, there we go. There we go. You get to see everything. Bingo. There we are. Oh, isn't that funny? Now that worked. Okay. All right, so let's go back and walk our way through because I covered a lot of information. So if you really think about this, imagine if you could get a client this week just by connecting on your social media platforms in a different way that would actually lead you to conversations that would bring you that client. Think of how great that would be. I mean, how much revenue would that generate for you? And the really cool thing is you can do it in your pajamas in the middle of the night if you so wanted to. You have that flexibility with it. That's one of the things you can do it. So if you are seriously about trying to leverage the networking, it is truly about being discerning about who you connect with and making sure that your profile, your Facebook profile, actually shares and talks about your business. Now, if you're on LinkedIn, that's kind of a given. But on Facebook, a lot of people don't connect their personal page with their profile, and therefore they're missing out. If you don't have it connected, chances are I probably wouldn't accept a friend request from you, so make sure that you do it. So, you know, from that perspective, we want to be specific about who we're connecting with, how we're connecting with them, and then ultimately have that dialogue and make it not so like you're a salesy weirdo, but actually that you are truly having a meaningful conversation and bringing them along. So let me just move on. I got a problem here. Oops, a daisy. There we go. I just lost my thing. Can you guys see that okay? The screen changed, yes? Good. Okay, so I have an invitation for you today, unless we get some more questions showing up. Here, Daryl, I'm just reading them. Now I can see some of the chat. Megan says, I really like the targeting segment you talked about. Yes, thank you. And Daryl, whoops, a daisy. Daryl made a comment about recommended to brand your Facebook personal profile. Absolutely. Banner feature image. Yes, thanks. That's an excellent point. I just get so disappointed when people have Facebook profiles, they don't do anything businessy with them. And that's really a challenge for that. So definitely, that's a good point. Thank you for adding that. Okay, and so here's my invitation for you today. And my screen froze. Oops. Oops, okay. There we go. I've got some gifts for you. There, I knew I could find it. So my gifts for you are this, is I have taken this content and actually created a guide for you. It's a social media marketing guide, and it has some scripts that I've used and different posts that I've used that have been really effective for me to connect with the prospects and to be able to convert those cold connections into leads and prospects and clients. And if you'd like to get your copy, you can request it right there. It's sueclement.com / whoops, oh, I'm really having trouble with my little button there, / gift. All right, so that's where you can go to get the free copy. It's kind of more detailed. Today I just kind of scampered through the highlights, but it actually has examples and scripts in it that you can emulate. Please don't use them word for word, because then you'll look like everybody else, but you obviously want to emulate them so it fits for you. And the second item that I have for you is, let's see, is another special offer. And that is this, first of all, this is for you if you are ambitious and serious about really upping your revenue, if you have a full-time business, and if you're ready to play bigger and attract higher value clients, then I'd like to invite you to have a growth profit session with me. And that's where we'll hop on the phone and we'll talk about you and your business. What are you working on? What is working, what's not working, and what's next? And then from that, we'll share with you some insights. You'll go away with some strategies to move forward with your business and some strategies to up-level your success. And so that's a growth profit session, and you can request one there, sueclement.com / chat. And just log in, answer those questions, and we'll get something scheduled up that we can hop on the phone in the next week or so and talk all about you and your business. And you'll go away some clarities and some next steps to move your business forward. So those are my two offers for you today. And then finally, I love this. I'll just pause here. If there's any questions, you can post them in. But I'll leave you with this quote. It is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. You can shape your destiny, but you need to make decisions to do so. So I'm just going to pause here and stop sharing my screen for a second and see if there's any questions. Oh, Ilya, can we post those links in the chat? Good point. I will do that. Try to make them super easy. Okay, the first one is, whoops, is gift. Whoops. There we go. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. That's for the free gift. And also if you want that would be the social media marketing manual. And if you also want to have a conversation with me, then it's simply chat, and that is for a discovery session. There you go. Okay, so let's scroll back. I don't know if I've missed anyone's questions. If you have a question, just type it in right now, and we have a few more minutes left before we have to wrap up, and I'd be more than pleased to answer them for you. We went through a lot of content today.
Hi, Sue. I'm Daryl here.
Hey,
Thanks for the
Daryl.
presentation.
Yeah.
You did a really good job of covering it because this is a topic that there's whole courses on this. There's people that literally, that's all they teach. So you did a really good job at capturing all the key elements and keeping it focused. I'm really impressed.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is a lot more. I try to kind of give you the highlights and break it down into bite-sized steps. But thanks, Daryl. I really appreciate that comment. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you're going away with something maybe that was new or different that you hadn't heard before.
A little bit. I've been doing this fairly actively myself, and I find all of these things, you always pick up a little tip here and there, even if you've been doing the same thing for a long time. And
Always.
this works because for some services, I've been getting US clients, for example, or other marketing or different people in the US. So it doesn't, the thing with this, you never actually wasn't mentioned, I think is important, is this removes your local
Yeah.
the local networking restriction. So if you have a service that can go to the US, Canada, international, you can think bigger. Think Australia, UK if you want. You can think the world, and you can actually, I've started charging in US dollars outside of Canada because most people don't even say anything. Like it doesn't shock them. Something you can do. Little, I don't know if that's a tip some people want to do,
No,
but
that's absolutely valid. One of the things, I think I mentioned that very on at the very beginning, is that if you are global, I mean, you're not, networking in person, you have to only go to the one within 20 miles or so of your home. This way you can actually get network with anybody in the world. And I didn't share some of my successes. I shared a couple of my clients and colleagues up there, but one of my successes was in less than a week, I made over $35,000 from purely social media marketing, and yes, American clients, and yes, that US dollar with that dollar exchange, wow, that is a real bonus when we can actually get that US dollar in there, at least from my point of view. But yeah, if you are global, it's phenomenal. And even if you aren't, like, you can do it anytime. But thanks for stepping up. I appreciate that. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I'll just comment, Sue. As you know, this is kind of what I do it's not kind of, it's what I do and help customers as well. Utilizing social media, I really appreciated how you commented about asking for permission. There's nothing worse than someone, especially on LinkedIn, I find it a lot more, is you've just connected and immediately they're like, there's my offer. And it's like, we haven't really figured out if that's what I need. I'll give you a tip on what I like to do, and I've had tremendous success, is after you connect, you say, thank you for connecting. Please tell me 3 things about your business I need to know. I have had people go, what? No one's because they're in live, because they can put it in their LinkedIn profile and stuff, but when they're talking in a personal connection to their business versus putting stuff up for people to, read, I had one lady goes, why do you want to know? And I said, I want to know to refer you business because this is networking. I need to know more about your business, that I may have somebody in my contacts that could use you. And she's like, wow, nobody's asked me that before. So I encourage you all to use that. Please tell me 3 things about your business that I need to know.
I love that. That's a great question, Jeanette.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is really a cool one. Yeah.
And it works wonders. And people just they'll go, well, the Reader's Digest, one guy went, well, the Reader's Digest version is, and went through, and I went, oh, great. And I learned he did this, and I had a friend that does that. I'm like, oh, you guys should meet. And now they're met and they've done business. So who am I going to be? I'm going to be the one that knows how to give as well as I want to receive. So thank you for covering that permission. There's nothing worse. It's like,
don't be a salesy weirdo.
No, I love your puppet that you used, Peanut, for that. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He makes me laugh. Yeah. Alrighty, good. Any other thoughts or questions anyone has? Don't be shy, guys. You can type them in or raise your hand, jump in and chat.
I'm gonna bring a comment, something that happened to me that feels very awkward. So if I share with you guys that you won't do this to other people. So a lady just sent me a friend request on Facebook, and then she's messaging me, like, which is normal, but it just, her message was a bit too fast. Like, instead of saying, hey, hi, thanks for your, accepting my friendship, blah, 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 and try to getting to know me a little bit. She said, hi, thanks for accepting my friend request. I'm building a business on this. Can I add you to my list?
Yeah.
And I replied to her, I said, oh, hi, thanks for your message. Maybe there is another way that we can connect first, because it just feels right now that you asked me to sleep with you without even kissing and getting to know me first.
That's true. Another salesy weirdo. They're out there.
Yeah, right? So, yeah.
One thing I have found, though, is when I do it on LinkedIn seems to be more accepting of a faster response than Facebook has. That's been my personal experience. And the other thing, too, is that you need to be able to take the conversation from talking about like one woman, she had a Yorkie and I have a Fox Terrier. So it was, we talked about the dogs a bit, but then you have to find a nice segue to get it off of the dogs and onto business. And so, what I sometimes might do is I might just let it sit for a week, and then I'll come back with a fresh business question. So that's how I kind of help convert it. Because if you go too far down the social chit chat, it just doesn't go anywhere. And I'm doing this for business, so therefore I need to convert it over. But yeah, always ask permission. Thanks, Jocelyn. But yeah, good for you to step up and set your parameters and say, wait a minute, I'm not jumping into bed. I love that.
And the other thing that I love what you said about adding a personal note, because if you think in your reality, do you walk up to someone? To me, if you just hit that connect button on LinkedIn without a message, it's like you're walking up to somebody and poking them in the head. Go connect with me, connect with me, connect with me, instead of going, hey, your profile looks good. You look interesting. Like something like if we were all at the chamber, we walk up to people and go, wow, you were so-and-so. I've always wanted to meet you. Tell me something about your business. So taking those skills we do in reality and practicing them on our social media. And we become human and we get to be known as somebody who wants to really get to know people.
Yes. Cool. Great. Thank you. Hey, Tracy, I just saw your comment. I don't see your face on my panel. You only see so many people. I got to scroll through it. Thank you for coming, Tracy. You and we've met online so many times. You've been in my group, but I've never met you in person. So that's neat. Thanks for coming in.
So
connecting is a lot like dating.
Can I share a little bit of what I've been doing in the past that works quite well?
Absolutely.
So when I connect with someone, I just send them a message and I kind of introduce myself, like saying like I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and these are my hobbies that I like. And as for work, I have a business and I do this and this is how I help people. And then I would like to get to know you better. Tell me more about you as well. So you talk personal, you talk business. So it's kind of, like it's just not just personal, just not business. And then you get to build a relationship and people are very open to this. It's been very successful and people start following me. Like it just that people will not do business with your business. They will do business with you if they know, like, and trust you, right? So
excellent point. Thanks, Jocelyn. That's really a solid point. One thing what tagged me this is what also I found really works well is don't put it in one long message. It's better to type a sentence, hit send, type another sentence, hit send. So there's small chunks rather than giving somebody a whole long stuff. So that's another tip for you. And I see that Brent, hang on, who is it? Someone asked a question. I'm going to scroll down. Something about video. Where is that? It was there and now it's gone. What was it? Video call. My opinion, if you sign on a video call, you should always have your video on. Okay, someone was asking about etiquette on video. Who was that? Hey, Brent, do you want to talk? You're on mute. Do you want to come off? There, I just unmuted.
Hi, everyone. I don't know if there is a right or a wrong to this, but I'm wondering what everyone feels about joining a video call and the etiquette of joining a video call, but then not actually being there in video. Like half of us don't have our video on. And to me, it feels inappropriate to join a video call, but then not show up in the video. Wondering what everyone else thinks, or is there a sort of understood etiquette about it, or am I making an issue of something that isn't an issue?
Brent, I'll jump in and answer this and I'll let people either put in the chat or think for themselves. But I have to agree with you. You know, I'm in a couple masterminds and it's a small group, and yet some people have their video off the whole time. And I really, it bothers me personally. I feel like they're stalkers, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's just, this is my bias. I don't know if there's an etiquette to it or not, but I must admit, like in a group call, it's like, I always feel like they're stalkers, the ones that aren't showing me up their video. That's just my personal bias.
Or at least if you have a reason why you can't put the video on, then you address that up front.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it does feel sort of like some people are being intimate and open and other people are sort of stalking from a distance kind of thing.
I think it also depends on the nature of the call, but you're right. Kathy, you have a comment?
Yeah, hi Brent. One of the things though with registration for this particular event, I agree with you. I think especially in this day and age, when we're looking at this type of networking, you need to have your video on. Or as you say, if it's a call in, sometimes it's a phone, you can't have the video. But on the registration for this particular, it did say that you are not expected to have your
Fair
video.
enough.
I didn't see that, but that's valuable. Then
It did say that on here.
It's nice because you are allowing people to be inclusive then.
Yeah.
And there are some days my hair really looks bad and I don't want to be on video. But yeah, I must admit, personally, I've been coaching for 20 years. So I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and I primarily coach on the phone. And so having that headset, somehow when it plugs in, I get that intuitive kind of vibe. And I don't mind groups like this, but one-on-one, when people, when they want to chat with me, they want to do a video, it's like, no, let's just talk. So I think we have to be respectful that people all have different feelings about it and, do what works for them and what works for you. But thanks for raising that, Brent. That's an excellent point.
The other challenge to that, Sue, is that some people are working. They don't know if there's going to be a recording of this. They really want to know the information or to hear what the presentation is going to be like. So they've got the buds in, they're working, so there's no video on, right? So yeah, again, there's a number of reasons why the video wouldn't be on.
Yeah, just looking at the side of your head because you are on deadline, that feels sort of disrespectful as well. So if I have to leave and grab a coffee or disengage from the thing, I tend to put my still picture on and mute myself. So I'm still here, but I'm sort of putting up a wall, right? Like I have to leave for a moment, but I'm still here.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Josh,
my beef is, and we were told this was being recorded, it's when you go to something like this and you don't know it's being recorded. I think etiquette at the beginning is the presenter saying, just to let you know, this is going to be recorded. Or I've been to meetings where people, we've been using Zoom back and forth now to go from social media to an actual real interaction. And the person is recording it. And it's like, whoa, like you always got to kind of look up in the left-hand corner to see. It's like, hold it. I didn't give you permission to record our, one-on-one conversation. So I think that's etiquette that needs to be discussed because this is here to stay for a long time.
That's true. And you don't know where the recording's going. That's a good, valid point. We had a question from Josh that says, how do you network with social media when you have no time? Well, I like social media networking because frankly, I can do it in the middle of the night. Not that I necessarily do. So I think that it doesn't have the same time constraints that in-person does. And the other thing too is, in the dialogue of the promotion for this thing, I said, how you can grow your business in less than 1 hour a day, or how you can fill your pipeline with prospects and leads in less than 1 hour a day. It doesn't take much. I have a little system in place that every day I will outbound, and it changes from week to week, but I'll set a number of people of new friend requests I want to make each week, LinkedIn or Facebook. I just mix them up. But, and if I want to do 20 a day, I'll do 20 a day. And then of course it's almost like volleyball. You throw 20 balls over the net. They all kind of come back to you, all at once, but they will start to come back. But that's my goal, is to make, some weeks it's only 10 outreaches a day, but 10 outreaches a day, you can do that in 10 or 15 minutes. You get really good at sleuthing and checking people's profiles. And that way you can, say, hey, or go to a group or go to an event. And, I can prospect quite quickly that way. And then, if I do 10 a day, then of course the conversations start coming back to me, and then I'll spend time with that. But you can actually do it in less than 30 minutes to an hour a day. You don't have to do mass amounts, but just always do it. And that was one of the things, I don't know, I didn't mention this, but I do a weekly Wednesday training. kind of podcast style, and it's my roadmap to revenues call. And yesterday I just talked about momentum, and momentum is so key in business. If when we lose momentum, the inertia to get it going again, it takes up so much time and energy. But we don't have to do big amounts. Even if you just outreach to 3 people a day, that would take you 5 minutes. So we can always fit it in, keep the momentum, keep it happening in small bites. And that way you're always got your marketing going. Years ago, I used to do a workshop and I had everyone hold their breath and see how long they could hold their breath. Kathy, you might be responding because maybe you were in that room at that time. And then, realize it's like marketing is like breathing. If you aren't doing it all the time consistently, you're not, you're going to pass out and your business is going to fail. So you have to kind of find that consistent small efforts. That's all it takes, consistent small efforts. So Josh, go for it. You can do this. Okay, so let me see if there's any final questions. I think we're good to go. Thank you for jumping in and sharing. This is the first Zoom webinar I've done. So it was kind of an adventure for me. And I want to thank Sumner and the Langley Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to come online today and share this information with you. I hope that you found it valuable. Remember once again that to get my free gift, which is my marketing manual, which is basically what we covered, and it has way more information, of course, in it. It's sueclement.com/gift. That's an easy one to remember. And then to, jump on the phone and have a conversation with me. If you're serious about growing your business, if you want to kind of up-level yourselves, if you really feel like this is your year to make a difference and grow your business, then I invite you to have a conversation with me, and it's sueclement.com/chat, C-H-A-T, and we can hop on the phone and have a conversation. So thanks everyone for coming today. It has been fun. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I hope to see you around. Check out my Facebook group. You're welcome to do that. Well, it's no, it's not that. I changed the name. It's Roadmap to Revenues. No, sorry. Oh my gosh, I've got too many roadmaps in my life. Roadmap to 7 Figures is my Facebook group. And of course, find me on Facebook. I'd love to connect with all of you. Yeah, Brent, I'm laughing at that one too. So yeah, find me on Facebook and connect with me there. And I didn't say this, but my weekly Wednesday call, you can just email me or message me and I'll get an invitation. If you're in my group, you'll obviously hear it. If you're on my list, you'll obviously get it. But if not, please check out my Wednesday trainings. They're kind of fun. It's a live Q&A as well. Not on video. Not on video. I do it on the phone. I'm old school there. Okay, so I think we'll wrap up. Sumner, thanks for having us all today. It's been fun. And I'm going to say goodbye to everyone right now.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks, everyone. It's good seeing you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.